so that all of you can go for lunch, and I'm hungry too, so I'll try to be brief. Before I start, let me, confess, I have stage fright. So if I stumble through this presentation, please forgive me. Before I go into my slide deck, I'd just like to talk about security. I'm an information security professional. Although I trained as a chartered accountant many years ago, I was lucky to get into what was then called EDP auditing as a profession, and that kind of evolved into information security over the years. And when you look at security, or when you want to secure citizens, you secure them through physical security, you secure them through information security. Sudhir spoke a lot about physical security, taking care of them through CCTV, etc. So I'll just focus on information security. And as I'm sure all of you or most of you know, information security is defined by confidentiality, integrity, availability. Why is confidentiality important to you? From a privacy angle. Can your data as an individual be misused by an organization? And there's a huge talk about, some social media organizations not having a strong privacy policy and them being able to misuse your data. So we need government's support to make sure that data stays private. And a lot of governments in Europe have been extremely, I would say, vocal on that. But I think the Indian government will probably get there. The second front is the government taking care of your data. In the US, there was this huge thing about PRISM about a year ago where the NSA was spying upon their own citizens, but also maybe people like us. So that's the confidentiality part of it, which we will talk briefly about. The second bit is integrity. Is the information that is available to you, is that correct? And finally, availability. Why is availability important to you as a citizen? For companies, yes, we talk about business continuity, we talk about disaster recovery. But it becomes important to us in case of an eventuality. For example, the Orissa government did a fantastic job of evacuating people when the last cyclone hit. And a lot of technology was deployed behind it. And we'll try to talk briefly about that. So that's information security. And when I was learning it, somebody told me information security is like a brake. You can use it to temper the speed of the vehicle, but if you press it too hard, then you will inhibit the vehicle from going forward. If you use it the right way, and which is what I've done, my laptop on which I had prepared the slides today, it was not transferring the data properly to a pen drive to be able to put on this thing. So we've connected through my laptop. The advantage is I hate standing behind a podium. So it's given me the advantage of standing across and talking to you. I'll try to be brief. I know that this is supposed to be followed by a Q&A session, so I think because I'm the last speaker in this panel, you have some questions during my session, do go ahead and ask. And before finally I jump into my slide deck, I'll start with a video where we want to show how information or how technology and security has to be equal, like an accelerator and a brake, so that, and if you don't have that in sync, what can go wrong? Can we just run the video, please? You'll have to run the video directly.
It is 2020. Welcome in a world where people cannot manage their life without the internet and its applications, even when they're aware that their privacy and security is totally out of control. Let's see what a day looks like. As you can see, a lot of information is directly available. Your virtual assistant has already started arranging the upcoming birthday party. Numerous brands know this and start showing their product offerings in an intrusive way. Your health is constantly monitored, which leads to advice about nutrition. Not only your own health is monitored, but also that of your family. When a family member is ill, your virtual assistant provides you with a list of doctors, including medical professionals from all over the world, offering their services. Without remorse, advertisers promote all kinds of medical products. real-time medical information is shared. You need to decide yourself, but to distinguish trustworthy objective medical advice from ordinary pharmaceutical ads is a tough job. Your refrigerator shows you which of your favorite products need replenishment and orders them directly. The manufacturer presets store preferences in the system of your refrigerator. You can only order from those stores that have links with the manufacturer of your refrigerator, limiting your choice of products and stores. Even when you set your preferred store in the system, other stores try to persuade you to buy from them. In case you cannot go into the office, your virtual assistant rearranges your agenda. Office meetings are turned into online meetings. As bandwidths and scarce frequencies are not used efficiently, congestion often occurs, making online meetings less reliable. The birthday planner of your virtual assistant checks the availability of your friends and family real-time to set the date and time for the party. The same brands that pushed their products earlier continue to attract your attention. The uncle who has just received the invitation contacts you from his office. He wants to share his ideas about birthday presents with you. Together, you shop virtually for the ideal present for him to give. All sorts of products are pushed aggressively, even those that are not appropriate for a young boy. Later that day, when he goes home, his car contacts his house to announce his arrival. Utility companies use customer information to optimize their operations, but do not share these benefits with their customers. When the car approaches his home, the lights in the house are automatically switched on. Meanwhile, it is bedtime for the little one. You open the virtual bookshelf on which publishers all try to stand out, making it difficult for him to find his favorite bedtime story. Candy manufacturers know immediately that you're reading a bedtime story and put their commercials directly onto the images related to the story. So now you know what a day will look like in 2020. But remember, this is just one of the possible scenarios. The world could also look completely different. Challenge yourself and take a look at the complete opposite scenario. Speed limit control.
If you were to go on the YouTube, there are 4 different scenarios which you can see. So I'm not going to run any other video for you. This is the worst one I picked up, where everybody gets access to your data. Internet of Things, and we've spoken about Internet of Things, is not completely in control, and your data can be potentially misused commercially, and your life could be made miserable by incessant advertising. So we will not talk about privacy, but just keep that in mind. And I'm sure all of you are already facing this. If you go to Amazon to buy a book, once you buy 2 or 3 books, they start telling you what to read, because they're analyzing what kind of books you read, and they push those books at you. Now, in a way, it's good, because these days there's no book clubs, and I like to know what's available. But if it becomes too much, you want to stay away from that. That was just my input on privacy. I'll leave that risk in your mind, and I'll move on and talk about security. A global organization can face up to 50,000 cyber attacks in one single day. And a lot of it can be state-sponsored. So these days, it's not possible to prevent an attack. If you're a large organization, and I'm not talking about, we'll come to individuals, but if you work in a large organization, it's not a question where the large organization will be attacked. The question is when you will discover if you've been attacked. And if you were to work, or if you were to use, for example, utilities in our country, telecom, banking, electricity, if this infrastructure is not kept secure, potentially it can be misused by state-sponsored terrorism. Anybody here has heard of Stuxnet? Great. I see a couple of hands going up. Stuxnet is the first known example of a virus being used to stop a critical utility. It's guessed that 20% of Iran's nuclear facility was wiped out by Stuxnet, rumored to have been deployed by, you can take the guess, Israel or US, whoever. But without dropping a single bomb, they wiped out 20% of their capabilities. And this is going to happen regardless of whether we like it or not. You know, think of it if two countries go to attack and the victim's power supply is stopped before the planes take off. If the telecom network is stopped before the planes take off. So cybercrime, or what is now coming to be known as advanced persistent threat, is a fact of life. And please note the use of the word persistent. It is persistent. They keep trying in and out. There are 2 or 3 types of people who are indulging in APT. It's, like I mentioned, the rogue governments. It's also people who are doing it for the need of money. Kapil was talking about how a laptop can be misused. You know, his last slide had how a laptop can be misused to gain access to some other people's data. Let me give you a real life example. I'll not take the name, but this is out there in public domain. A very large retailer in the US had a very large APT attack some time ago. I'm sure all of you have read about it. How did hackers get into that network? The janitor service of that organization, which was outsourced to a third party, the janitor belonging to that third party had access to the attendance system of this retailer. And that system was not as secure as the retailer's own systems. So through the janitor's attendance system, hackers got into this company's main system, and they basically move sideways. Once you get access into a small system, they try to move sideways, and they got to the server which was storing credit card data of you and I. And by the way, this means people who've not even gone on the internet. If you and I have been to that part of the world and have swiped our credit card to buy something in that organization, that server which controls the credit card data, that was accessed, and people started sending data out of that organization. Now, how do you discover this kind of, you don't even call it hacking, like I said, you call it APT. You cannot catch it when people are coming in. You have to try to catch when stuff is going out. So the way to catch these days